From the massive Pierce deal that still isn't addressed, to fans wanting to see even more of the Roy siblings, here are all the reasons why a major plot hole could make way for Succession's 5th season. For starters, there's that whole rivalry between Pierce and ATN that still needs to be addressed. Ever since they were first introduced, the Pierce Global Media Group have been shown as the complete opposite of ATN. At the head of the company is Nan Pierce, a calm and polite matriarch who's quite different from ATN's Logan Roy. But here's the thing about her. While she might seem like a nice old lady at first, she's just as bit as cunning and ruthless as everyone else in this business. Throughout the series, Nan strategically entices the Roy family into expressing interest in acquiring her company, only to push them away and then lure them back in again. The power struggle intensifies as the contest takes shape, with Logan and his children, Shiv, Ken, and Roman, competing against each other to win the favor of the Pierce family and drive up the acquisition price to an astronomical $10 billion. In a game-changing moment during Season 4's first episode, the Roy siblings ended up winning the deal to buy Pierce Global Media. But after everything that happened during the season, a lot of people just kind of forgot that this deal even took place. And the fact that it's really not brought up again has a lot of people feeling like it's straight up a plot hole. The Sibs planned on paying for this massive deal through the money they'd get from the Waystar Royco Gojo deal, which, as y'all probably know from the finale, did go through. This means that there's a lot more still left for the show to dive into in a potential Season 5. Let's start by discussing the timing of the Roy-Pierce agreement. Considering the unique structure of Season 4, where each episode represents a single day, it's important to note that the handshake deal between the Roys and the Pierces took place just over a week before the Waystar Gojo merger. This timeline gives Nan Pierce and her family's lawyers plenty of time to follow up on the arrangement, and as y'all know, Pierce Global Media is all about being classy, unlike Lucas Matson and his goons. So it's safe to assume they'll leave a decent period for the Roy children to process their recent setbacks and grieve in their own way. After all, Nan knows the importance of maintaining a sense of dignity in these matters. But here's where things get interesting. When the dust finally settles, Nan is definitely going to be making that call. This deal isn't like the fleeting ventures the Roy kids have embarked upon in the past, only to throw them out later. No, this time it's different. This time, some serious legal issues are knocking at their door. Now imagine if the Roy children were to attempt to back down from their obligation to Pierce. Maybe they would argue that their strained sibling relationship, which they've quite literally torched, makes it impossible for them to fulfill their end of the deal. Well, they might find themselves in a situation similar to Elon Musk's attempt to go back on his promise to buy Twitter, though Nan might not need to involve lawyers at all, because there's one member of the Roy clan who would embrace the challenge, distraction, and opportunities for revenge that come with acquiring Pierce Global Media. Can you guess who? Why, it's none other than our favorite unpredictable wildcard, Roman Roy. Roman's cunning and thirst for power make him the perfect candidate to navigate the complex maze that is the Pierce acquisition. He thrives in chaotic situations, and this massive deal would undoubtedly provide him with the perfect stage to just go wild. Now, from what fans saw in the finale, Roman did kinda look like he wanted out. He came to terms with the fact that everything they did was in his own words. But hey, getting Pierce would give him a chance to make some actual change. Though he's not the only sibling who's probably busy making plans. Because let's not forget about Shiv. When we last saw Shiv in that limo, there was a sense of defeat about her. But let's be real, folks. Everyone knows Shiv is not one to stay passive for long. Sarah Snook's brilliant portrayal of the character has shown us time and time again that she thrives on mind games and manipulation. So here's my pitch for what she could end up doing in a potential Season 5. Picture this. Shiv, as the owner of PGN, has the perfect opportunity to introduce even more mind games into her marriage with Tom, who happens to be the new CEO of Waystar Royco. Imagine the subtle destruction she could sow in their relationship while playing the role of the dutiful wife and soon-to-be mother in their less-than-ideal beige apartment. Come on, it's a classic Shiv move. Under the Roy siblings' leadership, PGN could turn into an unstoppable force, covering every misstep of Waystar Royco. And guess who they could target? None other than Tom himself. With Shiv's intimate knowledge of the company's inner workings, she could use PGN as a platform to expose Tom's flaws and vulnerabilities. And the best part? She can maintain plausible deniability, claiming that she can't interfere with the independence of journalists. After all, it's not like PGN is ATN, right? And let's not forget Lucas Matson, the new owner of Waystar Royco. Well, let's just say he earned a lifetime of enmity from Shiv when he denied her the CEO position, and she's not one to let go of a grudge easily. I bet she'd be working round the clock to showcase all his misdeeds. Though, no season of Succession would be complete without Kendall Roy. Now, everyone saw the explosive boardroom breakdown at the end of Season 4, where Shiv shockingly decided not to vote for Kendall, and Kendall tried to gaslight Shiv and Roman about the death of that waiter from Season 1. It was a moment that seemed like it could break the siblings apart forever. But let's be honest, if there's one thing we've learned from watching Succession, it's that these siblings have a pattern of coming back together despite their conflicts. Just a few episode days before that pivotal board meeting, Shiv was labeled a traitor for her secret collaboration with Matsson, and yet the very next day, they found themselves supporting each other at Logan's funeral. It's a roller coaster ride of alliances and betrayals, and the short-term memories of these kids are honestly kinda hilarious. But make no mistake, if Shiv intends to get Kendall and Roman on board with her plan to buy Pierce, she'll need some serious manipulation skills. And here's where things get interesting. Kendall seemed like he was almost suicidal by the end of the finale, but he doesn't have to stay that way. In fact, it would be far more captivating if he has actually taken the necessary steps to rebuild himself. Imagine Kendall committing to intensive therapy, rehabilitating his mindset, and taking full responsibility for his role in Waystar's harmful influence on America. He might even embark on a path of full public accountability, exposing the company's misdeeds. But here's where Shiv may drop back in to mess things up for him. Driven by her ambition to secure the Pierce deal, she could pull Kendall away from this path to redemption. Shiv and Nan Pierce, who probably support any measures necessary to secure her $10 billion, have a secret weapon up their sleeves: Kendall's former girlfriend, Naomi Pierce. By strategically placing Naomi and Kendall together at the right time, in the right setting, and with the right influence, possibly involving the use of drugs, because come on, this is Kendall we're talking about, Shiv could manipulate her own brother. Can you imagine the emotional impact of seeing Kendall, who seemed to finally be getting his life back on track, being dragged back into the whirlwind of his past? It would be a gut-wrenching twist, that's for sure. Though while all that is interesting, would the fans even want a Season 5? Here's the thing, while not everyone loved the finale because of how shockingly painful it was for Kendall stans, you can't deny that it felt like a somewhat fitting conclusion already. Most fans felt like it did the show justice, and so by essentially restarting the series, you open yourself up to a ton of criticism, especially if this new season doesn't land well. Fans may turn against the show and say that it was only continued because they wanted to make even more money instead of leaving it off on a high point. Personally, while I'd love to see the Roy kids playing their manipulative games all over again, I agree that it may be for the best to leave the show a bit more open-ended, if only because it ended on such a high. But hey, that's just me. So from fans wanting to see even more of the Roy siblings, to the massive Pierce deal that still isn't addressed, those were the reasons why a major plot hole could pave the way for Succession's 5th season.